Hi, everyone. This is Dani Hartung with my Module 5 recording, pretending that I am a principal or administrator in my school, discussing the current state of our district and our community in regards to the research that we did for our previous module. So the first thing I would do is to dive into the meeting talking about community status for the three different areas that I researched for our previous assignment. So the first one was our building-wide level 2 math performance. Overall, level 2 performance, which is basic understanding of the material, increased between 2017 and 2018. However, I know that this data can be deceiving because our level 3, which is effective mastery of the material, decreased overall as a building of the students tested between those 2 years. So I would talk to my staff, first of all, about the need to reassess use of interventions, supplementary tools, and dive into creative ways that we can increase our level 3 performance overall, rather than focusing quite so much on level 2. So I have an infographic here that I've created about building wide math performance between 2017 and 2018 with some trend lines that kind of show the directions that we're heading between level 2, which is the red line, and level 3, which is the blue line, just to give them a visual and an idea of what it is that we need to do in order to increase that blue line and make our level 3 performance a little bit better for the coming academic year. My second point of interest is our community status of county-wide population. So I'm from a very small county. Ricks County, Kansas is very tiny. Any percentage of decrease in population represents a significant number of people who have left the county for whatever reason, whether that be economic, searching for jobs, or whether that's just they moved to the next county over because that was more inconvenient or more convenient for whatever it was that they wanted to do next. So between 2013 and 2017, our overall countywide population decreased by a 2.8%, which we'll see in the next slide, an infographic of what that looks like over the course of those 4 years for a county this size. But it is something to be aware of and to keep in mind as a school district so that we can begin to plan ahead for perhaps smaller class sizes, collaborative combined classrooms, or what we need to do in terms of community outreach and connection so that we can try to grow that number or at least keep it from decreasing anymore. So this is an infographic of our Ricks County, Kansas population between the years of 2013 and 2017. Of course, on the vertical axis over here, I do have numbers only between 5,000 and 5,200, which for some people might seem like not the best scale for population, but for a place like this, I think it's appropriate to have a scale like that where it's shorter and we can really see the up and down overall trend of decrease in our county over that 4-year span. So yes, it doesn't seem like a significant percentage, but for us, that can have huge impacts on our ability to keep our schools open, on our class sizes, and on what kinds of activities and perceptions might change because of how many people we have available to help with those things. The third point that I wanted to talk to my staff about is the community status of countywide teen pregnancy rates between the ages of 15 and 19. So we actually decreased overall our rates from 2015 to 2017, but these rates have been sporadic and unpredictable. You'll see in the next slide how these, over a 3-year span, these rates have been kind of all over the charts. And so we want to try and be proactive and sort of get this problem do something about it before it becomes an even larger problem for our teens. So we want to work together with the community in order to invest in higher quality sexual education courses, which I think can sometimes be assumed in rural areas to be abstinence-only education, which we've seen by the rates here that we'll see on the next slide. That's not always an effective method of going about sexual education. So we want to help to prevent teenage pregnancies before they happen. And then after the fact, if there are teenage pregnancies that do occur, we want to partner with the community and connect young mothers to resources such as childcare, medical insurance, and then moving on to the next step to still go on to college. So we want to use that collaborative effort so that we can help teen mothers when they do have children, but also for those who haven't, we want to make sure that we can try to keep them safe and making the best choices that they can. So this kind of cyclical chart that I have here shows between 2015 and 2017, the overall trends of teen pregnancies between the ages of 15 and 19, and sort of the question mark of what's going to happen in the future. So we want to keep an eye on that and continue with those collaborative efforts. So the critical questions that we're pulling from continuous school improvement are, where are we now, which is what we've just seen through the research. Where do we want to be in terms of each of those 3 points of interest? what are the gaps between where we are now and where it is that we want to be, ideally, and how do we get there and evaluate our efforts along the way. So our current measures under student learning, of course, we're using assessment tools such as Ames Web, Star Reading, Star Math, Lexia, and individual grades. So these are things that we're already doing. Right. Next, in community perceptions, we're taking surveys. We're taking into account the things that parents are saying to us via social media, Facebook Messenger, text messaging, informal conversations that we're having with community members. And then also, of course, the surveys that come from us as teachers and administrators. In school processes, we're keeping track of data such as class rosters, enrollment, what kinds of activities are we offering and who's participating in those activities, and overall school enrollment. And then within demographics, we're talking about student ethnicity, keeping track of attendance and discipline records, and teacher education and certification level, because we want to make sure that everyone is on the same page there. So my game plan and what I would like to suggest to my staff is a community collaboration committee. So we would ask for a few volunteers to be part of a regularly meeting committee that reaches out to the community, creates programming, and just dialogue between the school district and members of the community, which a lot of times, to be honest, in a smaller district, those are the same people. So we just want to sit everybody down, get them a seat at the table, and hear what their concerns are and how they think that we can improve all of the 3 points of interest that we talked about: the level 3 math performance, overall decrease in population, and preventing teen pregnancies and helping to connect pregnant or teen moms to the resources that they need. And that sort of ties into the sexual education improvement task force. So I would like to ask for some other volunteers or assign some people to create this task force that will meet on a regular basis to talk about where our sexual education level is now, sort of assess where we're at, and talk about ways that we can improve that to be more realistic and more beneficial to our students. And then, of course, taking a page out of Thomas's book in My 9 Truths of Data Analysis, we want to talk about some bi-monthly data dialogues. So the sacred time, about at least 45 minutes to an hour, hour and a half, where we'll meet every 2 weeks with the entirety of the staff. So everybody will come in, we'll talk about our data, we'll talk about the increases and the decreases, where we can improve, and talk about those gaps that we discussed within the critical questions so that we can get to where we want to be as a staff and as a district. Then I will take some other suggestions from my staff. I'd like to hear what they have to say so that I can know if there's anything that I'm missing or if there's anything that they're seeing within the data that I haven't covered in this presentation. So that is the remainder of my game plan for my staff within those 3 areas of research and within those 3 areas of data interest. I want to really dive in and come back to those areas and see where we've improved at the semester level or even at each quarter, so that we can talk about, have we reached those goals that we specifically set, and what new goals do we need to reassess and go from there. Thank you very much for listening. This has been Dani Hartung for my Module 5 discussion. Have a great day.